Everyone, it's Java time. No, not Java time, it's JavaScript time. So, the first thing we looked at on Friday was that JavaScript is actually not equal to Java. These are two different programming languages. While we mostly use JavaScript on the web, Java can be used to build, desktop applications and to do a whole lot of amazing things. So we saw this and we started by defining JavaScript. This video will be very quick and straight to the point. So JavaScript is a scripting language and enables us to create dynamically. Um, it enables you and I to create content and also update content, control multimedia, animate images, and do a whole lot of things. Although not everything, but a whole lot of things. Then we looked at the concepts that we would be covering for this course, the introduction to JS and others. And at the end, we would be working on two projects. So I used this particular image to cheer a few of us up. And it can be overwhelming, most especially when you're doing HTML, CSS, you've been introduced to Git and GitHub, and now you're doing JavaScript, and all these are just you can't take it any longer. It's too much, and you feel like quitting. You really do not have to quit, and you should just know that even as you advance, you get to work on even more complex problems. So the earlier you start loving complex problems, the better for you and I. So encouraged. Then I presented this slide to encourage you. You don't have to, you just need to keep moving. You don't have to give up. That's like what I really meant here. So always put on the right attitude, believing that definitely all these concepts will click. So without further ado, let's jump right straight into our Visual Studio Code. So I'm now up here live. I have my Visual Studio Code by my left and my Google Chrome on my right. And I actually told you guys how to get this up. This is actually the Chrome Developer tool, and you can either hit F12 or you could hit Control Shift I, or you could just do the third approach I showed you. We won't be discussing that here. I know you guys already know that. So, and we already have our index.html and we have our scripts.js. So we won't be going through the route of how we created the folder. You guys are already experts at doing that. So the first thing that we did in class was to get our hands dirty with our first JavaScript application. And this application actually is one that, when we load our page, it alerts something. And we were able to achieve that with the alert function. So the alert function takes an input. You can say, hello world. And when I save this, I get my application runs and, the browser tells me, hello world. That was the first application we built together, you and I in class. And we impressed ourselves with that. Now, the second thing I introduced to you guys was this console space. This console space actually is one form of, outputting whatever whatever JavaScript that you write, and you could actually see it here using the console.log. And before we actually continue, I talked about a term known as syntax. And syntax is a programming language, like a programming language's command, special words, just like English, Deutsch, German. They all have different ways of expressing, thoughts and expressing, things using those languages. So the same goes with JavaScript. JavaScript actually has its own way of, way of doing things. We have ways of declaring functions, the way of calling functions, way of declaring variables and all whatnot. So you often hear me say syntax in class, and also new and a lot of new terminologies. So we're back here live, and to actually get something to output here, now recall that our scripts.js has been linked. And I actually detailed to you guys why it is very important to actually leave our scripts tag before the body, the ending tag of the body. So we have it linked. So whatever code you write in here it will work. So I'll comment this, then I'll come here and I'll say console.log. I'll say hello world. When I save it, you see it pops out here. So whatever we actually console here, we could try something else. You could say hola, and you could say Guten Tag. And when you save that, we all have all of them here, all our outputs. Console.log actually outputs things here. So we'll get rid of this, we'll comment this out. And in this video, I'm going to be making it very precise. So we don't get to explain so much because you already have, the basics. So the first thing we looked at was var. So leave a comment. We looked at var, and we looked at let, and we looked at const. So I can just say, let's look at var first. I will just say var. So I'm trying to make it as detailed as possible. So I'll say var my name, and I'll say John the champion. So when I come down and I say console.log, say my name, and when I save this, I have my name outputted in the console of my browser. I explained this var to be a container, and this sign here to be an assignment sign. So this is just like I'm having a container with the label my name, and I will take this moreover this is a string. We'll explain it as we move further. I will take this value, and I will actually assign this value into this container. So this was one way that we did that. You could do var my number. Can basically take anything and say 2310-212. So sorry again. So I could just come here and say my name and my number. Sorry guys, I wanted to say my number. So it gets out. I could just make it awesome. I could just say what's happened here. I could just say my name is, just say, and my number is, I'm supposed to close this for the brackets. My number is, then I should have a comma here. So yeah, so when I save this, I have my name is and my number is, why am I having 1930? So let's see this. So my number is 2309. I could just put my phone number 080-111-222-000. So my name is, and my number is this. So it can take basically any data type. So we only limited it to just the name. In fact, what we did in class was we just did var a, and we say var a is equals to 3, and we did var b and all whatnot. So just know that this is a container, just like we're declaring a variable and we're assigning this value into that container. So we'll comment all this off to the next line. And the next thing we looked at was let, which basically also helps us to declare a variable too. So we could just say let my name equal to Stephen Phil, or whatever you want to write. Then I'll just say console.log my name, and I have Stephen Phil. So the next thing we looked at was const, which is also another way of declaring, a variable. But the difference between const var and let is that when I say const my name and I give it the value of John Doe, then I console.log console.log my name and save this. I have John Doe, right? But when I should come down here, this is actually a constant variable. I can't come here and say my name is equal to and give it another and assign another variable to it, Stephen Doe. Right? We should have an error, and you see assignment to constant variable. We actually we already have this as a constant, so it can't be changed. But if we actually had, let's get rid of this. If I have let a equals alpha, right? Then I come down here and console.log a. A is equals alpha. I could still come here and assign another value to a. I could still come here and say a equals beta. And when I console.log, I have beta. I've already assigned another value into this into the container a. So you see the difference between const and let. I could do the same thing with var. When I do var, you see it also works the same way. So but const actually means like this is a constant variable. Constant, it doesn't change. Whatever I declare with const, say I want to create an array or an object, and I actually declared it with const, it should stay that way until I choose to maybe get rid of const or something else. So the next thing we looked at was, so we're now done with var const, var let and const. The next thing we looked at was data type string. Data type strings. And I explained the string to be, let's say, let my name. I explained the string to be any item actually enclosed in quotation marks, right? I can just say Stephen. Stephen is a string. If I say let number, if I do this, if I say 30 is a string, and if I say let's country Nigeria is a string. So you get the idea of strings. So string is whatever value that is enclosed in a quotation mark. And the next thing we looked at was string concatenation. And this actually means joining two strings. So an example, if I have number 1 and I come down here and I have, let's just grab this and change this to number 2. And what do you think will happen when we say number 3? Let's say let number 3 equals number 1 plus number 2. So if I should console.log number 3, I'm going to have 30 instead of 60. The reason is that when we concatenate strings, that's when we add strings, we're not performing any numerical action. We're just getting, if I had left some spacing here, you see it just included that. I just brought this 30 and also this content, and concatenated the two. So that's what string concatenation is all about. As we progress, we'll get to see more and understand all these concepts, because we'll actually get to use these basics to build very wonderful projects. So the next data type we looked at was numbers. These are very basic, so we just save we're using let number one. I think we performed some basic arithmetic. I say number one, and let number two. You could use num1, num2, or whatever. I could just say 20, and the last thing we did, I say let sum equals number 1 plus number 2. So, and when I console.log sum, I actually have 43. If we had enclosed this in quotation marks, we'll get 20, 23, 20. So I think this was all that we did. I actually told you guys I would perform other arithmetic operations. I could multiply these two numbers, change this to product. I could do this too. I could divide. I could say divide, right? Yeah. I could do power. I could raise this guy to. I could raise this guy to. And I could just print all of them out. I'll say product divide and power. When I save it, I have all of these out. This is a very large number. So guys, this was basically all that we did, and I'm going to make a very quick video on the projects, the assignments that I gave each and every one of you, so you could start working on it. I encourage you to explore. There is more to understand in JavaScript. In fact, when you begin to connect the dots in your learning trajectory, you would appreciate all the efforts you've expended to learn. So we'll be making the JavaScript videos very short, and just play with them, and don't fail to visit the W3 schools when you have issues. No man is an island, and I encourage you to keep learning and never give up. So do have a wonderful weekend, and see you in class on Monday.